All right, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to episode 45 of the Gaming Perspective podcast. The horror begins. We have a lot. No, we don't. We don't have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's been a slow news week. I'm really draining the swamp to get the topics list for this week. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Ubisoft Star Wars game. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. A little bit of Resident Evil, a little bit of Project Mara, a little bit of what we've been playing. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So, we are minus Eric. He's doing birthday stuff with his wife, so happy birthday to his lovely wife, who lets him come on the show every week. And, yeah, I hope she has a lovely day, and Eric will return next week triumphantly. So, introducing from Windows Central, the guidesman himself, Mr. Jared Eden.
Well, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in, as always. Not a huge amount to talk about this week, but still some, I think, interesting items and some very exciting ones, honestly. But, yeah, let's get talking. It'll be good.
Yeah, we got some spicy community questions, too, so it's going to be... And when I say spicy, I mean, like, they are zany. Like, they are weird. And I
like them.
And none of them were submitted by Dan for once.
Oh.
So
really?
I'm almost disappointed.
I can always bet on Dan submitting a question. Wow. Wow.
Well, no, more Dan submitting weird ones. But
oh, okay. There we go. Now we're back on.
Also introducing from Windows Central, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey. It's the third week in January, and still not a ton going on, but we kind of missed the big spoiler, like the Star Wars news, like that happened, and I was, of course, I'll just go ahead and get out in front of it right now. I was the one, I'm not always wrong, but I was this time, that said, yeah, we're probably not going to hear anything about the Star Wars side of Lucasfilm Games for a while, and then they go and drop it the very next day. So that was funny. That was good timing. But it gives us a little to theorize, a little bit of fun stuff to come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. I ain't gonna lie. The fact that you said that on the podcast, and I think the Ubisoft news broke like 2 days later, I was like, But in your defense, though, you said we wouldn't see anything tangible. All we've seen so far for all these Lucasfilm stuff has been teasers or just announcements. We haven't seen any physical.
Oh yeah, all the stuff is actually a long ways away from coming out, but we'll get to that. We'll
get right into that. But first. As people file in and like to hear the melodic sounds of my voice, as it sounds like gravel grinding against glass, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been playing this week. So I'm going to start with Jared, because I saw he was playing World of Warcraft the other day, so I want to hear more about that. And what else?
Do? Oh, well, there's nothing really too new on my end, honestly, because that's pretty much all I have been playing, and a little bit of Call of Duty Zombies, but yeah, I've just been pretty much just grinding away in World of Warcraft. I've almost got my third character maxed out to level 60 already, so that's 3 right from scratch so far. I've left 2 of my little booster ones kind of off to the side for now, but yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing and enjoying my time.
Right on. If I ever started playing World of Warcraft, it's all I'd play. And then I'd turn into a little hobbit, and it'd be the end of me. You'd never see me again. I'd just be playing World of Warcraft.
Well, I kind of have to put a little bit of the blame on Battlefield a bit, because around this time is usually when I have my big splurge in multiplayer games and just go hard in Battlefield and play it like 10 hours a day, at least when I had time off, pretty much 10 hours a day, all day, playing Battlefield, and just been like, yeah, it was fun. But I don't got Battlefield. I don't got a new Battlefield to play.
Well, you could always go play Battlefield 5, because that was amazing.
I'm ranked like 110 on Xbox. I don't feel like redoing it again on PC. Not gonna lie. Tempting.
Kudos to you for making it that far. I think I got enough to get most of the multiplayer achievements. I was like, yeah, uninstall. Sam, what have you been playing this week?
Yeah, I've been getting back into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I put a lot of time into that game over the holidays, but spoiler alert, I didn't finish it because God, what it takes to finish that game is something else in terms of getting every single thing done. I made a lot of progress, so I've been diving back into it, doing some side quests, exploration, grinding out the special stuff and whatnot. I also tried out Immortals Phoenix Rising. I'm only a couple of hours in. I will say I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It definitely is, how should I say this, inspired by Breath of the Wild. Like, it's not even remotely subtle, but that's not a bad thing. Breath of the Wild did a lot of things right in its gameplay design and the way you can move objects and solve puzzles creatively, like free guiding the arrows, obtaining the godly powers. It's really cool. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a very, despite still being an open world Ubisoft game where you're climbing up on top of things, the fact is it feels very unique. It's very different from most of what they publish. And it doesn't hurt that Gareth Coker did the music. And he did, it's a great soundtrack. Soundtrack is fantastic. So I've been enjoying that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Absolutely. I love hearing that whenever someone starts playing Immortals Phoenix Rising, and they just end up loving the game and just...
Yeah, I'll be sure to hit you up once I've actually like beaten it or gotten most of it done.
Absolutely. What I really like about the game is the story pacing isn't like there isn't a huge amount of story to go through or side quests or whatnot. It's the pacing is just right, and you move on from area to area quickly if you want to, if you just follow the main quests and whatnot. But if you want to stay and explore and go collect, you're more than willing to go do that too. So it's a nice pace, set your own. Set at your own pace sort of thing.
I think I bought that. Maybe I did buy it. I can't remember. It's somewhere. I'm getting better at hardware management because with my SSD space on my Xbox Series X, I am getting much better at playing and deleting games now because I have to. And if I want to install Gears 5 and Halo Master Chief Collection, my game choice is very, very slim outside of that.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I've been playing a little bit of everything. I finished BioShock Infinite, which still fantastic. One of the best FPS games in the past decade. I'm not going to talk too much about that because we're going to be saving that for a little something. Once I figure out what to name something. Other than something. I've also been playing. I played and did a couple of runs through Streets of Rage 4, which I started the day it came out, and then I got my arse kicked so bad that I was like, no, done with this game. So I swallowed my pride and dropped it from hard to normal and played through and really enjoyed it. It is incredibly well done, and I'm not a huge beat 'em up guy. But that is, if you ever just want to do a throwaway, I want to play a beat 'em up game, go play that game. It's fantastic. It does some great throwbacks to the originals, and it's just really, really fun. And it's co-op, and it's in Game Pass. So I don't have to sit there and tell you to go get Game Pass or anything because there's enough podcasts that do that to you already. So go play Streets of Rage 4 and go play BioShock Infinite because it's better than BioShock 2. And that's just the facts. So last week, a lot of this news this week kind of covers stuff that we covered last week, but either proves or further gives information on, so to speak. So last week we talked about in CES, in one of the trailer slides, it showed a bunch of release dates, and I made a knee slapper of a joke being like, I wonder how long before Sony pulls it. A couple of days.
Yeah.
A couple of days.
3 days, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So Sony has pulled a raft of PlayStation 5 game release dates from the CES 2021 trailer. This past week, Sony published a new PS5 trailer broadcast during the Consumer Electronics Show to its YouTube channel, and with it, some changes to the release dates of various upcoming PS5 games. So basically they had dates on there, and now they don't.
Is anyone going to pretend to be surprised? We said last week that this was what was going to happen. It's not. I don't know what people expected. They're not going to announce their partners, even if every date in there is accurate, and some of them are, some of them aren't, probably, based on things. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ghostwire Tokyo is definitely October this year. That fits. That just makes sense. March for Kina, Bridge of Spirits, and all that. Like, yeah, sure. But their partners are not going to let them announce the release dates of these games through disclaimer text on a CES trade show slide. Like, it's not going to happen that way. Some intern or marketing assistant or whatever made a mistake. That's all there is to it. I think we'll probably see a state of play or some individual announcements like in February or March or whatever. I hope it's in February because they have a game coming out in February that still needs a release date, first party one. So Destruction All-Stars ostensibly launches in February and no date in sight. And we have 1 week left in January.
Boy.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm wondering if it's going to get a delay to like March or April at this point, or if they really are just so divorced from wanting it out there in advance that they're just going to go, yeah, here you go. Like, I suppose they could do that. COVID has really thrown things in for a loop. But yeah, this isn't surprising. This isn't surprising at all.
Yeah, I don't got much more to say. Sam kind of says all that needs to be said, but like, I guess the only thing I really thought is like, how can you just like let that just go in there like that? Of course, Sam mentions the whole could be like an intern, someone not really too familiar with the process or didn't really check with someone or whatnot. This could be really anything, but like, yeah, it's just one of the things where you guys did it last year. And you did it again at CES. Are you going to do it again later this year with something else, or is it going to continue happening? Because I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern here. And is this really a mistake or what? But no, it's just.
Let me just say,
how?
Like, to Jared's point and Sam's point, I kind of gotta wonder, like, they had to have fired the intern from the Demon Souls slide, right? They just bring him back.
PC port.
At least a very stern talk, for sure.
Like, I just imagine, like, CES wraps up, Jim Ryan sitting at his desk, and he clicks on social media and goes, "Oh, what's trending? Oh, we released a bunch of release dates. We released a bunch of release dates." And there's just some like intern that's just sweating profusely. Yeah. There's
the intern suddenly got sick for the next 2 weeks.
The intern had
can't answer my phone. Sorry, I'm puking from
the. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, but it's something that happens a lot more in marketing than people will ever admit to. It happens with consumer products all the time. It's just that, in the video game industry, we're super, super, super analytic about every fine detail because you goddamn can make a story out of the tiniest detail. As we see when, Phil Spencer or Jim Ryan do an interview, you get 19 articles off of one sentence within the interview itself. Anything can make a headline, and it's kind of the same thing with this. And as Sam said, last week, keep your expectations in check. You'll be happier for it. But moving right along. So I'm going to toss this one off to Jared because I've been super hell-bent on work all week and they don't let me have fun. So Project Mara had some new cool stuff via Dev Diary. So Jared, you can lead the way on this.
I guess I could do that. I know Sam has looked it up and read up on it too and watched the video and whatnot, so I'm sure he'll have some things to say. But I'm very excited for what they're doing because it's something we don't really see very often in video games, is making sure you have real life or close to life textures and realism in your game and whatnot. A lot of people try to achieve it, but it seems that Ninja Theory has pretty much taken it to a whole new level. They even went as far as making their own in-home scanner to scan objects into a 3D engine so they can properly apply shaders and whatnot to make sure that the colorings are right. They did a lot of really neat things. What's really cool is how they're doing a lot of procedurally generated textures and I guess objects in the environment, and helping to not put that, I guess, repeating pattern human texture to it. But not just that, it also makes it a lot easier to put a whole bunch of repeating textures down instead of hand doing it by 1,000 times and moving bit by bit to make it look like a little different each time. You just procedure generate it and it's done for you. I'm excited. It looks really good. I'm a little scared that it's a horror game and they're trying to bring true to life horror in this game with this level of visuals. So I'm excited and a little scared and eager, and I'm just really looking forward to what Ninja Theory is doing here, especially how this could apply to more than just Project Mara, because you could potentially see this same thing happen with Hellblade 2, maybe. I kind of doubt it, because that could be totally completely different development processes and whatnot. And but just the future of what this could bring through Ninja Theory into the gaming industry, we could literally be seeing a whole new genre of horror games made from it. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, to Jared's point, this is just a little bit more detail into basically what he already said. Like Tamim, I can't pronounce his last name without butchering, I'm sorry, but Tamim, the creative director at Ninja Theory on both Hellblade 2 and Project Mara, he was explaining that they're getting to this fine level of detail where they need to come up with something that is actually between, a 2D texture and then a 3D geometric object. You're reaching this point where the two fuse together, and that's crazy. That's legitimately next gen in terms of that kind of detail, recreating an apartment one-to-one, being unable to tell, the difference. The shot of the kitchen sink, it's like, that's the most exciting kitchen sink I've ever seen.
Isn't it? Like, it's so cool, because when you see that, like, you take away the labeling and you really probably wouldn't know at all which one's the real one or in engine. And especially like at the start of the video, you see the apartment come in and it's still kind of that shaky camera view, and it's just like, oh, it's the apartment, and then underneath in engine, and you go, I can't tell the difference from what you were just recording earlier, sort of thing. It was, sorry.
No, absolutely. It's just incredible detail. This thing, which they've already said, like, it's going to be a game, but it's an experimental game. This is not going to be a full-fledged, like, $60 game by any stretch of the imagination. This is very much I think, probably if I had to guess this early on, it's going to be like a focused 1 to 2 hour type, very, very quick experience. They've explicitly said it's an experimental title that they want to test the waters with. But I think more importantly than that almost is they're using this to develop new technology that, like you said, Jared, can be carried forward into like Hellblade 2 and their other games. And that's cool. Ninja Theory have always pioneered technology. Like, even though Hellblade was made on $10 million, and it looks like it had 3 times that budget, easily, if not more. We've all played Hellblade. We all loved Hellblade. So it's cool to see what they're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you guys start talking about real life horror, I just imagine it's me walking into that apartment and they're going, you have adult responsibilities. You need to take care of yourself. You need to eat healthy and exercise. Like that. That is terrifying to me if they can tap into like psychological horror. See, I didn't get to read all of this. This is really super interesting to me. So aside from a few weird and zany comments, with that, I'm really excited for this. I'm really not ready for this, though. Like, I'm going to need a copious amount of liquor to get through this game. I ain't even going to lie. Resident Evil 7, it's like, okay, do a shot every time someone scares you. I'm shit-faced like 20 minutes in the game.
Man, well, like,
every little thing in that game just keeps me on edge 24/7.
Yes.
And I'm really terrified because Hellblade did that in a really meaningful way where it's like Hellblade felt very uncanny valley to me. Is like even stuff that felt normal didn't feel normal. It didn't, like, everything about it was unsettling. And I know they're going to do that with Project Mara because Hellblade, they have explicitly said, is not a horror game. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the times I got scared were just me being a baby. Okay, good to know.
That's just them doing a damn good job
Yeah.
with that audio. I was just thinking, like, because audio in Resident Evil 7, that's a big reason why it keeps you on the edge all the time, right? It's just, this keeps that tension going. Just imagine that kind of tension with the audio mastery from Ninja Theory, and then adding like real to life or next to life visuals on top of that. Just like thinking, imagine if Resident Evil 7 had the near to life visuals with that type of audio. How much more terrifying would that be?
Nope.
I don't know if I'd play it.
Nope. Resident Evil 7, I played it in PSVR first, and when your girlfriend stabs you and like chases you with the knife, that whole scene, I literally took the headset off. I was like, nope.
Yeah, I can't.
Walked right out of the room. I was like,
I like horror games. I love that kind of stuff. I don't have a VR headset. I wish I did, because I have a PC more than capable of it. But I don't know if I could handle that. That's pretty intense, not gonna lie.
I could. No, I could.
Exciting. I still want to try, but
yeah, just wait for.
Do but I don't. Do but
you know what? You know what, Jared? You know what? I will chip in for a VR headset for you if Project Mara comes to VR.
Oh God. I'm gonna need at least a
look
week
on the bright
off.
side. You've probably got like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, probably. I can mentally prepare, and then I can still, struggle with the PTSD afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't sleep for a week.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
You know what? Without getting too sidetracked, there was a game I played a long time ago as a kid, and it just absolutely like screwed me up with horror games. I think it was called Clock Tower. I think is what it was called. And it involves a midget with giant scissors is the main villain, and you play like this orphan girl trying to escape. It was like, I want to say like SNES horror. It's like old. My cousin had it, and we played it at like midnight when we were like 8 years old, I think.
Yeah.
And I legitimately had a phobia of scissors for a year after that, because I was like, oh God. Go look up gameplay for that. That game was actually legitimately scary. Even by today's standards, it's still really suspenseful and well done, even though it's a point and click. Go figure. But we're going to move right along. Of course, I closed out the topics list because I'm a knob.
Oh, man.
All right. Resident Evil showcase is coming up. I believe that's today's Tuesday. It's on Thursday. So 2 days from now? Yeah. Sam, I'm going to go to you for this because I know there's a showcase. I know they've been teasing stuff. But how about you put this? Bring out your realist Sam cap. What do you think we see at this showcase?
I don't know.
Jared, you want to go or?
Well, we'll definitely get to see some gameplay. I know there's been some talk of maybe seeing a Resident Evil 4 remaster along with it, but honestly, I just want to see Resident Evil 8. I don't care what it is, when it is, how you're going to show it to me. Just show it to me. Just give it to me. That's all I care. Talk dirty to me. Not with the tall lady, though. That she's kind of creepy. Y'all got something weird going on with that.
Hey. You leave the tall lady alone. And
she's like 10 feet tall.
SIMP for the tall lady for the simple reason is I am not sure if YouTube won't ban me for using that word.
We all know she's going to split in half or something like that, or her legs are going to end up like bowing out and twisting up into giant freaking arms and just sprout into tentacles or whatnot. And everybody's going to be like, oh, I'm really turned on now.
Yes, you're getting it now, Jared.
No.
You're understanding. Like I literally saw someone's like, "Oh, you do
that whole topic is a thing.
Like I literally saw someone that like quote tweeted the picture of her and was like, "Y'all realize she's gonna sprout tentacles and like split in half, right?" And literally someone quote retweeted that and was like, "Yeah, and that's what we're excited for." Like,
Hentai ruined everything. Saying.
I'll throw my expectations into the world now. I think we're going to see Resident Evil 8. I hope we get a concrete release day. I hope, because I ain't gonna lie, playing Resident Evil 7 bit by bit, I really have an appreciation for that game, and I really want to see what they're going to do with Village. And I'm really interested in how they've presented what the direction they're going. It gives me almost, if anyone's played Outlast 2, it gives me Outlast 2 vibes, but good. If that makes sense. Outlast 2 was really disappointing.
I'm really glad you have fixed but good on there, because wow, Outlast 2 was not good. So
yeah,
I'm
no.
glad you saved that at the last moment.
Yeah, no. The setting for Outlast 2 was good, but they ended up bogging themselves down with too many tropes and repetitive sections that ultimately, once you repeat too many sections, it doesn't feel scary anymore. And that was the failures of Outlast 2. But what I like about what Resident Evil 8's doing is they're getting away from, oh no, it's zombies. We're now, it's, oh, tall lady and werewolves and god-awful other amount of monsters as well.
It's really just Bloodborne, the horror game. That's
yeah,
all it is.
It's Bloodborne, but good.
Oh, whoa. Hold on. Okay, Sam, we gotta find a new host. Yeah. Nick, you're out. Sorry.
I know.
I'm taking over.
Don't acknowledge it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't even feed it. Don't give it attention.
Okay.
They thrive
Sorry.
on that.
Sorry.
That's to just move on.
But in regards to what else?
Seriously.
Regardless, I think we see Resident Evil 8. I think we get a release date. I think they might tease Resident Evil 4 remake because we've heard it talked about. I don't think we see it. If we see it, I am uber impressed at how fast Capcom has been able to turn stuff around during a pandemic. Because like Resident Evil 2 came out in what? 2018? Resident Evil 2 remake was 2018?
Was 2019.
Well, no, I'm talking 2. When was 2?
I know you said 2. 2 was 2019. Was it not? Am I crazy or?
I thought 3.
There's no way 2 was 2018, dude. 2 was revealed re-revealed rather in 2018. 2 released in 2019.
Oh my god! How many years was 2020?
It was too long. Yeah, I was just thinking back to like, no, it was 2019. 2019. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, it's 2019. So they released Resident Evil 2 in 2019 and Resident Evil 3 in 2020. Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions to be like, Resident Evil 4 2021, because they did it in a year. They already said that they developed Resident Evil 2 and 3 side by side, essentially. And that there was actually, I believe there was articles that came out that said that they originally were going to make it like a double pack, which would have been the best value in a freaking game ever. But they split into 2 games, which was fine. But I don't see 4 being ready this soon unless they're absolute wizards or they're not doing as much to 4 as they did with the other 2. Because I imagine, not to put my game dev armchair rests too high, but I imagine it gets easier the more modern the game gets to adapt them. I would think. But I could be terribly wrong because I feel like Resident Evil 2 and 3 were the ones that needed a lot of work and basically total redesigns. Whereas Resident Evil 4, just get rid of the tank controls and we'd be good, fam. Like, I don't know. That's where I'm at. Sam, where are you at?
Yeah, so I'll go in order in terms of what I actually think we'll see. Definitely. They've already said we'll see a trailer and gameplay footage, so that's like a no-brainer. I do think we get a release date. I know COVID has made things very, it's thrown them into the air, but I do legitimately think we get a release date. I'm hoping for April. I'm preparing for like August. My heart says April. My head says August, based on how long they'll need. We'll see how that goes. Beyond that, I think actually the most likely thing we see announced is ports, like old ports of the old games, like the original RE2, no remake, the original RE3, maybe Code Veronica, maybe not, I don't know. Not remakes, just the straight up, here's the ports, they run on modern controls now, you can buy them for like 10, 15, 20 bucks a piece, whatever, on modern consoles and on PC and all that. I think that makes more sense. It's a good way for them to make a quick buck. And I think it's just a little too early. You haven't even shipped Village yet. It's too early to show 4 remake off. It's just too early. And that's even before you throw COVID into the whole spectrum of everything going on. I think 4 remake was planned for 2022. They might even bump it to 2023 if they have to, because of COVID interrupting and delaying. But if they're efficient enough to just power through it, I think that game is 2022. We're in January. There is no reason to show it off right now. There's going to be showcases. There's going to be, you don't even have to do a showcase. They're big enough. Capcom is big enough. They can just say, oh, tune in, special announcement, May whatever, September whatever, and they can just show it there. I say that to say, like, too early to show 4 remake, and there's no reason to do it. Keep this focused on Village with like some cool port announcements. I think that's probably the most reasonable thing.
Yeah. I actually want to tack something on because I saw people were like, oh, the Resident Evil account's teasing a demo of some sort, and everyone thought it was going to be a demo for Resident Evil 4 remake. I feel like it feels super safe to bet there will be a Resident Evil Village demo because 7 had a demo, Remake 2 had a demo, Remake 3 had a demo. I feel like they will continue that trend with Village. So part of me is like, day and date demo drop on Thursday. I'd be happy.
Possible. It's possible. And you know what? I would be wholly welcome to it.
You bring up a very interesting point because the last 3 games have gotten demos. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard got a demo in late 2016. Resident Evil 2 Remake got a demo. I don't remember if it was early 2019 or late 2018. The point is there was a demo. And then Resident Evil 3 Remake, a couple of months before launch, got a demo as well. So like they're going to do a demo. They are absolutely going to do a demo. Here's the question I have. Because like I didn't even think about it, but I think you're right. I co-signed they'll probably announce the demo and they'll announce when the release date for the demo is. But here's the question. Is it just a slice of the game? Like in the 2 and 3 remakes where they give you like 20 minutes to play? Or is it like 7 where the demo is actually something that canonically happens? Because minor spoilers for Resident Evil 7 if you haven't played it yet, the demo is not actually a demo of the game. It takes place in the same area, but you play as a character who canonically dies right before the events of Resident Evil 7. It's kind of cool how it connected in that way. I think given the setting and that this isn't a remake, they could do something very similar for Village, where it's like, oh, play as this doomed villager or doomed soldier in the village for 20 to 30 minutes, and then you get shredded by a werewolf at the end, or something like that. I think that could be kind of cool.
Yeah. Totally agree. That would be my absolute favorite thing for them to do right now is do exactly what they did for the Resident Evil 7 demo, make it nice and unique because it's really cool when playing the Resident Evil 7 demo and being that character. And then shortly after starting the actual game, you realize, oh, I was that character. Oh, this all kind of weirdly links up, and then you continue on and it kind of adds a little bit more depth to it. And also really like how not just character-wise, but there usually is like an item or two that carries over from successfully completing the secret in the demo, usually within a certain time span and whatnot, or it has to be in a certain order, otherwise you won't get it, sort of thing. But that's what I'm really looking forward to, because with our Resident Evil 7 demo, that was very popular at the time before the game came out. People speed ran it, did all these sort of fun things with it, And that's kind of all I really remember a lot about Resident Evil 7 was not so much about the game, but more demo-wise, how people just really enjoyed having a demo like that. So I would really like them to do that for Resident Evil 8 Village.
I can't see them not, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a trend showing it will happen. And if they don't do it, I would chalk that up to, COVID. I know it's like the default answer for everything, but if they don't do a demo for 8, I feel like it's COVID related, or, without having physical events, you don't really have to make because a lot of demos, I'm not saying all demos, but a lot of demos are press previews and they get repurposed. That's not a hidden fact or anything. A lot of demos have been repurposed, press previews and everything else. A little bit different with the Resident Evil games because the one-shot demo was very different from that. But we'll wait and see. More Resident Evil. It's so great to see how far the franchise has come back because everyone remember the franchise in 2016 when they announced Resident Evil 7. And then people are like, oh, Resident Evil. Gross. And then they're like, it's Resident Evil in first person. And everyone's like, I remember all the articles. This will be trash. There's no way this can be good. This will never live up to the rest of the franchise. And I'm just sitting there going, weird.
And look how wrong.
Sometimes different is good. And I think after playing the remakes, I think Resident Evil as a horror game is better preserved as a first-person experience. But as a survival game, I like the third-person perspective. I like the survival elements of Remake 2 and 3, but I wouldn't necessarily call them scary. I say that to say Mr. X did not make me scream like a little girl multiple times, but it was just surviving him. Yeah. We'll go with that. Thinking if things were just going to have to survive. Steep 2, Riders Republic, got delayed out of its original spring release date, has been delayed to late 2021. Later in 2021. No one on this panel is excited for this game. I just wanted to bring this up to bring up the point.
No.
No. This is the beginning of the end of the beginning of delays. Sam said this in a previous episode. Jared said it in I think our first episode of the year. It's gonna keep happening. Get ready for delay after delay after delay. Everything you know and love will be delayed. Order a pizza online, delayed.
I'm getting it for free then. Son of bastards.
Nope. Order a Big Mac inside the McDonald's, delayed. No toppings. Either that, you'll get a half-finished one, and it's Big Mac with no lettuce. But don't worry, they'll add in the lettuce in a post-patch. But I say this to say delays are going to happen, and everyone just needs to remain calm, and there's still going to be a ton of games to play in the back half of this year. And because you have no games really releasing right now, why you need to go buy goddamn Hitman 3 tomorrow when it comes out. Because it's a goddamn good game. It's a national treasure of an IP, and Dan will back me up on this. If you do not buy Hitman 3 tomorrow when it releases, I will send Dan to your house. That's the threat. That's it.
That's a terrifying thought. That's an absolutely terrifying
I will send Dan to your house and specifically talk about Anthem.
Love you,
Oh,
Dan.
me and him will just go on for days and days. We'll have a good old time. We'll have a pretty angry time as we're drinking too and whatnot. But, it'll be, I guess, a few days of venting. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a lot of venting. Yeah.
Happens. But no, seriously. It is what it is. Now, this was interesting because I didn't see anyone talk about this after it was a big hubbub for a while, and then it kind of dissipated. So as everyone knows, 2K was looking to purchase Codemasters. and everything looked hunky-dory, and they were going to buy them and everything else. And then EA came in and was like, fuck you, and put more money down for Codemasters. But from the looks of things, in a report, Take-Two has essentially, and I'm going to butcher this because I am not so great at the financial lingo, for the lack of a better word, pulled out from acquisition talks with Codemasters, and it's now looking like exclusively EA is in the conversation with Codemasters. So everyone, just grab a cup, pour one out for Codemasters, and we'll have to. The most disappointing part of Codemasters being bought by EA isn't the fact it's EA and everything else. I'll give EA the benefit of a doubt that they'll be smart enough to just leave Codemasters alone and let them do what they do. The thing that breaks my heart is if Take-Two had acquired them, somewhere in my heart I could justify getting hyped for a Midnight Club return. But now I can't. I can't justify that hype anymore. So what do you guys think? I know none of us are super involved in the racing world or anything else, but acquisition season, boys, I'm telling you, 2021, people are going to lose their minds. Period. End of story. What do you guys think? Codemasters just the tip of the iceberg for 2021?
Jared, unless you feel very... Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, it just in general, like we'll say this, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, and you guys have said as well. You're going to see more companies getting bought. It's just going to keep happening. It's been happening for a couple of years now, and it's only going to escalate from here. Like, there's going to be stuff. I'm going to tell you right now that by the time it's all over with and the dust is settled, Microsoft buying ZeniMax for $7.5 billion is going to look cheap. It is going to look downright cheap by comparison. Like Sony getting Insomniac for $229 million, that's dirt cheap. That's pennies compared to some of the stuff we're going to see later on this year. It really is. But what's going on with the Codemaster situation, for anyone who doesn't know, for anyone who wasn't in the loop, is that Take-Two originally are the ones who entered into an agreement to buy them for about $950 million, somewhere in there, ballparking that figure. And then EA swooped in because it's a public deal. Because this is how public deals work with publicly traded companies that have investors and shareholders, and it's not a private deal. You can't do this in a private deal, but in a public deal, EA came in and said, well, hold on, stop, we'll bid instead, and we'll give you like $1.2 billion. We'll up the numbers. And Codemasters agreed to that, and Take-Two had, legally speaking, a window of time in which they were able to respond. And they have chosen to let that expire rather than up the bid. They don't want to get involved in a bidding war. They're tapping out, folding the poker table, so to speak. So that's what's going on there. I'm not personally a big Codemasters fan, but you can't deny the history they have. They're one of the oldest UK publishers out there. They have undeniable, strong roots in racing with the Dirt franchise and God knows all the other games they've made. So it'll be a big thing for EA. I'm interested in seeing if they get them involved in like a big Need for Speed reboot in some way, or they expand Need for Speed out, or are they just going to keep Codemasters doing what they're doing, but now integrated with EA? I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch as an outsider. But yeah, expect more purchases. Expect more big purchases. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like the folks over at Codemasters. Like, I am guilty of not really paying attention to the studio or wherever, but they got a lot, and I mean an immeasurable amount of flack for Dirt 5 over nonsensical stuff because they were a console launch game. And their PR team and their creative director and everything else were anything but polite, understanding, just forthcoming with information, conversating with people, everything else. They just did a really fantastic job with that. And I actually bought Dirt 5 because of that. I was like, wow, these guys really do love this game, and they really take a special place for it. Haven't had time to play it because, Hitman. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see. And it kind of makes sense why EA would want them, because for people that don't know, Codemasters makes the F1 games. So that's a yearly franchise game that makes money every year. And what does EA love more than anything else? Yearly deposits of money that are consistent. And with Codemasters F1 games, you got those. Dirt 5 appears to be really well received. I think it did well in comparison to other games in the franchise. So, the future's bright for them. So I wish them luck with that. And I hope they don't get the EA stench all over them. I'm kidding. Kind of. I can't help but not look at BioWare and be like, I used to know you. And I lost it again. God damn it. Ubisoft.
The big topic.
The big topic.
All right.
The big topico. Which is not Tropico 4, and I'm disappointed. So Ubisoft, or goddamn, however you're supposed to pronounce that. No one's ever corrected me, so I'll continue to switch between how I pronounce it throughout this segment. So Ubisoft has decided that they're going to make a Star Wars game. They haven't decided. They entered a deal with Lucasfilms Games, and apparently Massive, which is the studio behind The Division 2, will be making a Star Wars open world game. Not much more details outside of that, I believe. So basically, take the Division 2 cover, cut out the White House, put Coruscant, and slap a Boba Fett helmet on the guy, and we're good to go. I can't wait to see how disappointed everyone's going to be when this is an open world looter shooter. I cannot wait. It's going to be a shooter, and it's going to be...
It's going to be basically Ghost Recon Breakpoint Star Wars themed. It's damn true. You know it.
That wouldn't even be bad. Like,
that's the crazy part. It's not going to use exactly the thing. It's like Breakpoint didn't do so well, but slap Star Wars on it, you're good to go. And honestly, I buy the shit out of that.
Actually, you know what? No, I'll go on record. Breakpoint's a good game.
I haven't played it.
As long as you turn off the gear and all the Division stuff they try to put into it.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about this because of the more branching object of what this means in terms for Star Wars as an IP. I've been hypercritical of the new trilogy. Yes, we're going to talk about all about Star Wars. I was really critical about the new trilogy. I rewatched them last weekend with my wife. And once I got over the fact of when I first watched them, I was like, it's new. I don't like it. It's not good. Once I got past that whole mentality and watched it again with her, they're not bad films. They're not great, but they're not bad. But it's a real diagnosis of what was wrong with Star Wars in the games as well at that time. Battlefront and Battlefront 2, they weren't bad, but they certainly weren't great. And that's all we've had for Star Wars for so long until we got Fallen Order. Like, people seem to forget how many Star Wars games we used to get, or how many Star Wars games there are. Go look up Star Wars games on the original Xbox or PlayStation 2. You'll find like 30. There's a goddamn Star Wars TIE Fighter game. And the whole premise was you were a TIE Fighter pilot. That's the game.
There's a Star Wars TIE Fighter. There's Star Wars X-Wing. There's Star Wars Rogue Squadron. There's literally 4 to 5 different flying games. Look up LucasArts games, and you'll discover a plethora of games that you didn't even thought existed in the first place. And you went, wow, this was back then? No way. I'm old now. Crap. Did they remake this yet? Yes, actually. There's one right here. There's Star Wars Battlefront 2, and you got Star Wars Squadrons. Yes, if you like any classic Star Wars flying game, play Squadrons, because that's basically all of them combined. Just saying.
But I think this is a good sign. I don't think anyone would argue this is a good sign. But it kind of feels amazing and exciting to be excited about Star Wars again. Because, like, Mandalorian, and now new games coming in the future, right? and like Fallen Order 2.
For sure. And on top of that, like that's the thing. Just to jump in very quickly here is like important to remember. EA isn't going to stop making Star Wars games.
No.
We're almost guaranteed. It probably won't happen soon, but like after Battlefield 6 or whatever it ends up being called later this year, we're probably going to get a new Battlefront. Like I would bet money on it. Battlefront 2 towards the end, like the game sold really well and it was critically loved and fans loved it towards the end after they updated it with all the stuff people wanted and a lot of fan service. So like we'll get a Battlefront 3. Fallen Order sold ridiculously well, reviewed very well. We're going to get Fallen Order 2. Wouldn't be surprised if we get another Squadrons or something like that. But that deal didn't make sense. Or I'm not going to say it didn't make sense. That deal was made in another era. That deal was like a bygone relic of the 360 and PS3 days where a publisher just locks away one giant swath of something that they don't even own. And that's, oh, guys, we're just going to pivot and everyone's going to make Star Wars except for the sports teams, but everyone's going to work on Frostbite. Like, it was a different era. And EA gets a lot of crap, rightfully so, for a lot of things they did wrong. But I don't think EA is upset that other people are going to be making Star Wars games as well. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of them. It relieves them a little bit. Other creative forces can come in. And if you're Disney and you're reviving Lucasfilm Games and you've got people knocking on your door to make cool stuff, like Todd Howard with Machine Games and the Indiana Jones project that they're going to work on now, like, and you've seen how well Spider-Man has worked, being lovingly taken care of by Insomniac Games, you want to copy that success. You want to take that success and you want that to be the blueprint moving forward. You want that, but for Star Wars, even bigger than Spider-Man. So, I say all that to say it's really cool. Division hasn't really been my cup of tea. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the Division. I thought the atmosphere in the first game was cool. I think the Snowdrop engine is really cool. So I'm going to keep my mind open. I think that they could potentially make the sheer possibility for me, which I know, Nick, is going to lead into another of our topics, our discussion points. So I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit trail. But like, it's cool that others can just come in and pitch stuff. And Star Wars is going to be opened up across the board. That's really, really exciting. And I'm very happy to be wrong that it wasn't going to take us a couple of years to hear about it. Now, it's going to take a couple of years for these games to release. Make no mistake, EA's deal is still in place through, I think, mid-2023. So at the earliest, this massive Star Wars game is going to come out late 2023. So over 2 years at the earliest, but the future is exciting. It's cool to look forward to this stuff. And I think it just makes sense for everyone involved when you look at it.
Absolutely. All I really want is just give me Battlefield, but Star Wars. I know we got Battlefront 2, but it's not Battlefield Star Wars. I need that destructible environment. I need them bigger, people battles, more vehicles. I need that. Give me that. Make me that, and I'll be super happy. I'll play that for the next 10 years of my life and nothing else. I swear. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's really says volumes about how eager Disney is to get Star Wars outside of EA, though, because as Sam said, the deal is good until mid 2023, but they're announcing stuff now. They're not being gun shy about this. They're like, hey, we've got all this great stuff that's coming. We just gotta wait till our deal with Uncle over here is done, and then we'll get you tons of great games, okay? And I think it's good because ultimately it's going to drive EA to make better Star Wars games, because with them having a monopoly, they kind of just went, nerds are going to buy it anyways, which was true, because I bought Battlefront 1 and I bought Battlefront 2 because I'm a nerd. Sorry. But it's also exciting to see developers and publishers get excited about the idea of being able to work in the Star Wars universe. One of the best ones I saw was all the guys over at New Blood that did like a Medieval and Dusk. They were like, hey, Disney, let us do Dark Forces, but we'll keep it the same as the DOS version. And I'm like, yes. This is the kind of stuff I want, because I don't want Star Wars to strictly be, AAA necessarily. I want to see other developers get their hands in. Could you imagine replace Ori and put Grogu in there?
Ooh.
The Adventures of Baby Grogu as a side-scrolling Metroidvania.
It sounds ridiculous until you start thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, this could actually work.
Yep.
A 2.5D Star Wars platform. Like, I think, Jared, open up a little bit. Open up.
I'm
Broaden, reach out with your feelings and broaden your horizon. I think it could work. Not necessarily even Grogu, but just a Jedi. Like a Jedi 2.5D,
like
platform.
a messenger style game, but with Jedis.
Exactly.
That would be fun. Yeah, absolutely.
The possibilities just open up, which, unless I'm missing something, Nick, I guess that takes us into the discussion topic at this point, basically, which is...
You caught the segue.
Yeah. Nice, smooth segue. Sometimes there's a bump in the road, not this time. But yeah, our discussion topic is basically what kind of Star Wars games do we want to see coming from what developers? Because Lucasfilm Games Disney rather, in their post about Lucasfilm Games, the interview they posted a few days ago, go check it out. They were very blunt about how they are accepting pitches from creators. They are letting the studios and the developers come to them about this stuff. And they said that while this stuff is far off, they have more they're going to talk about throughout the year. They're not done talking this year. So that tells me that there's other partnerships that we're going to see announced. So what do you guys want to see announced from them?
Jared, you made a very good Twitter thread on what game you wanted brought back. So I'm going to let you field this first because I know in your feelings you know it to be true. Go.
Then I know it to be true that Raven Software needs to go back to their damn roots and go back to making a single-player action RPG game. Because they are the creators of Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Knight Outcast, Jedi Academy. It's a long, weird name, whatever the hell it's called. That's the game I really need to see back because for what it was back in the day, it was really good. It was really cool. And there really isn't anything like that Star Wars wise currently. And it's basically just a simple, almost classic Doom style weaponry. You got, numbers 1 through 9 with all these different types of weapons and 2 to 3 different types of grenades. And you got force powers along with it too, and a lightsaber. And you just go ham and you just go have fun. And it would work so well in a modern engine and a modern remake that I honestly think it would do gangbusters. Like, look at Jedi Fallen Order. People love that game, and that's a third-person action-adventure game. Now, basically turn that into a little bit more faster-paced, first-person perspective game with some more RPG elements to it, but still with the same Jedi capabilities and whatnot, and then sends your character through multiple different planets like Hoth or an Imperial spaceship or the Forest of Endor, stuff like that, and I really think it'd do quite well.
Motherfuckers.
You know what? I'm in favor of your pitch. Simply, not even nostalgia. I don't have the nostalgia for those games you do, simply because it would mean we get to see Raven make something other than Call of Duty.
Exactly.
So I'm in favor of it just from that angle. Like, just to see those poor people work on something else. And I'm not trying to insult them. On the contrary, I think they did a great job with Call of Duty. I think with what the hand they were dealt, they did a great job with Cold War and Warzone. But yeah, make something non-Call of Duty. So I'm in favor.
Yeah.
I approve your pitch, Jared, for sure.
Absolutely. Get also that bit of just a little bit more of an immersive sim into it too, right? I just picture Battlefront 2, the way the single player campaign was, or how the game plays overall, but play it as just a first person RPG. And I think that just go off really, really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, what about you? What's your yours?
Well, there's one I really want, but I'm kind of leaving it because we're going to go around a couple of times on this. But there's one I'm leaving because I have it's a gut feeling that you might have this one on, so I'm a bounce to a different one.
Okay.
I want Bethesda Softworks to make an open world RPG Star Wars game. I want the stupid faces, the Skyrim tank. I want all of that in the Star Wars universe where you are playing yourself. Because every Star Wars game is you're playing a character. You're playing this person that has lore, that has meaning and everything else. I just want to be some dickhead with a pistol being like, hey, look, it's Han Solo. Pink. I want those options. It feels like I want it so bad as a Star Wars RPG. I know KOTOR was a fantastic Star Wars RPG, but I don't want to be a Jedi. I just want to be some dickhead that has to deal with it. It was like that. There was a television show a couple of years ago or whatever. It failed epically, but it was about the people that had to clean up the city after superhero battles. That's the kind of shit I like. Is like I like being in a world full of epicness and everything else, but you're some dickhead with a pistol being like, help. I want that back in a Star Wars style game. I don't even want force powers. Like, you can have them if you want, but like I want you to like have to encounter a Jedi and be like, well, I got this pistol and this thermal detonator and I don't like my odds. That kind of thing. But Sam, what about you?
Okay, so I've said the one I want to see before at length multiple times, but I think they've got their hands full, so I'm going to go for something else and sidewind y'all. After seeing what they did with Days Gone, I want to see Bend make a Star Wars war game. Sony Bend Studio. I think because seeing the tech that they were able to accomplish with the hordes of freakers, imagine it's like an old Jedi war, like a Jedi Sith war during the ages of the High Republic, but it's hundreds upon hundreds of random soldiers like fighting for the Sith or fighting for the Jedi, and you are a Jedi or Sith and you're just mowing them down. Like, none of this, oh, I have a colored glow stick that you see in so many games, even games I love like KOTOR, have fallen prey to that. Fallen Order, great game, but it fell prey to that a little bit. No, just one hit, they're cut in half. They're gone. You swing your double blade, you throw your double blade lightsaber, 30 guys lose their heads and arms, and you're just rampaging across a battlefield. Yeah, I would like to see Bend make a Star Wars game.
Speeder bikes too, because they did the motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. So speeder bike going across the different territory. They've, the different weather. They have the weather systems and like the animals, so they could do some strange like sci-fi life, like Star Wars creatures, alien worlds. Like Ben's art direction and the HDR implementation in Days Gone was like great. Like, I have things I complained about in Days Gone, but the tech was solid. And I think that could prime them to make an incredible Star Wars game. And at risk of aping myself for our prediction discussion, which I think is supposed to take place next week, there's no way there isn't like a Sony collab coming up with Star Wars. Are you kidding? After what Disney has done with Insomniac Games, seeing how well they've handled Marvel, I'm not saying Sony's going to go nuts, but someone there is going to be making a Star Wars game. I will put money on it.
But who?
Oh,
who
God.
Indeed?
You know what? I'm going to just say this. The studio that does get it is not the studio I want to get it. Because the studio I want to get it is Sucker Punch. Because they could do lightsaber combat like, mwah! But I feel like if there was a studio Sony was going to trust a Star Wars property to, and it's so easy to just say Naughty Dog, but Naughty Dog makes the most sense, honestly, if they were going to trust a Star Wars property to someone.
Here's the reason Naughty Dog doesn't make sense to me. Trusting Naughty Dog with that would be like trusting Rockstar with that. It's not going to work. It's like one of the main reasons, among other things, that Amy Hennig's Star Wars game didn't work. The creative control, you're going to butt heads. Because that's the thing about Star Wars that you got to keep in mind. Every single detail has to be sent to Disney for approval. Sometimes you hear back in a few hours. Sometimes you hear back in 2 days. Sometimes you might not hear back in a week. every gun, every creature on every world, every painting of concept art, it has to get a green check mark from Disney Film to make sure it's canon, to make sure it fits the universe. I do not see Naughty Dog would lose it. They're too creative. They're too passionate driven. Naughty Dog and Rockstar are not going to make it for that reason. But I think Bend would be willing to tolerate it.
Yeah. Trying to think of other studios on PlayStation side and kind of coming up with a blank, honestly.
Well, see, my biggest problem with a lot of PlayStation studios is a lot of them feel very spoken for right now in terms of what they're working on next.
Which is why I said Bend, because they're one of the few who aren't spoken for.
Oh, I absolutely think Days Gone 2 is spoken for by a mile because that game sold really, 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 really well.
I'm not saying Days Gone 2 doesn't happen. I think Days Gone will happen, but okay, here's the issue. Let me wind the clock back here. These talks have been going on for a while. Jeff Grubb confirmed that, and Disney all but confirmed it in the way their post read, and Jeff Grubb filled in the details. But the Ubisoft discussion to let Massive make this game, it's been going on for almost a year. They're just now announcing this stuff, but talks have been going on for a while. Now, scroll the clock back a year. Where are we? January 2020, aka post-launch patches and support on Days Gone are wrapping up. Bend is basically done with the game. They've patched it. I know they did the PS5 patch later in the year, but that was it. That was a simple thing of just unlocking the frame rate. Are you telling me that if they someone could have come in, like Herman Hulst comes in and says, "Hey, I know y'all were doing pre-production on Days Gone 2, but we got an opportunity here. You can make a Star Wars game." Just think about it. That's all I'm saying. I think the timing for them, it makes sense. If anyone at Sony is going to do it, I'll put money on it being Bend. That's what I'll say. If it's not Bend, it's not going to happen for a while. It's going to be if it's Sony Santa Monica, and that would be cool. It's not happening for a while, I don't think.
What if we're talking Sony, what if it's Guerrilla Games? We keep hearing they have a second team. We don't know what they're working on. I'm not saying that they're going to pop a Star Wars game out in 2021, but we haven't even heard or had any confirmation of what they're working on.
The only reason I am doubtful is because that second team rumor has been going on for a while. For a really long time. I'm talking since Horizon Zero Dawn shipped. It was very shortly after that we learned the Rainbow Six Siege guy, the director for that game, was hired to come over, and then we heard that they were working on a multiplayer project of some kind. They were hiring for multiplayer expertise. So the only reason I'm kind of doubtful for them is because it feels like whatever they were working on predates this conversation. Mm-hmm. Because you see what I'm saying? You see how I'm trying to look at the timeline and make it make sense here? That's my only issue.
The only reason I bounce it around is because there's been tons of second team rumors at Sony, and then you even look at Ghost of Sucker Punch, Sony Santa Monica. PlayStation is not afraid to let its team work on something for 2 years and go, "This ain't working," cancel it, start over from scratch. That's the only reason. That's the only reason I feel there's some if it could be someone, it could be Guerrilla Games, because it's one of those things is, as you said, these rumors start circulating around, Horizon Zero Dawn shipping. We're already into Horizon Forbidden West now, and we still haven't heard anything from the second team. So that makes me think that they're either in pre-production or they don't want to show anything off until they're done and do it a la Bethesda and just show it off, and launch it 6 months later. But that's kind of my thought pattern with it, because I think PlayStation does a really good job of not talking about stuff until they think it's formulated enough to be worth talking about. Then they avoid, scale-bound fiascos and things like that.
Oh, except for 2016, but that was a different time and a different discussion. If we're talking about modern PlayStation, I agree. And we'll dive a little more in on that assuming we do our 2021 predictions episode next week. we can get a little more vicious because I'm sticking to my guns on this one.
You guys keep forgetting about one kind of outside studio, though, that really likes to work with PlayStation quite a bit. And they are masters of older titles.
Bluepoint?
It's Bluepoint.
Okay, you know what? Okay, so yeah, okay. The timing won't work out for Bluepoint as well. I know there's a ton of Metal Gear Solid remake rumors for Bluepoint. I'm gonna say this in the nicest way possible. I file Metal Gear Solid rumors under the same bin as Silent Hill rumors, and that is I believe it when I see it. And even then, I need more proof than that. Like it's just, I'm just jaded to this point with anything Konami. So I say that to say, I like where your head is at. Like, you're right. We did forget about them, and if there's pitches going on right now, they would be open as second party. Sony has worked with them. Well, I'll save that for the predictions episode. But yeah, I like you bringing up Bluepoint. They're another one that could work.
Yeah. The only issue is like I think it'd have to be more of a PlayStation focused or a specific title that they've had in the past. But of course, for PlayStation, there's been basically nothing. There's been stuff for Xbox and PC, but I haven't found anything for anything just PlayStation oriented. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Bluepoint would be really good. Actually, if they just remake Dark Forces in a modern
I was just get Dark Forces. Give me a Star Wars Doom, and we're good. Yeah. I don't know how well that would work.
But give id Software Dark Forces IP, and we'll just have lunch, and we'll call it a day.
I'm just trying to think of like a gameplay loop of like Star Wars played like Doom. It's just it wouldn't fit right. It'd be fun as hell, but it'd be so off. It'd be like it's just not right for Star Wars.
No. Dark Forces by id Software. You play a Wookiee, so it gives you that inhuman amount of strength. So you can literally walk up and crush a stormtrooper's helmet into little bits. And
they're slow though. The big lunky bastard.
No, it's like a Usain Bolt Wookiee. Works into the lore. It's a Wookiee that doesn't eat a lot of potatoes before bed like I do.
It has an unlimited amount of adrenaline. That's what it is. He's just freaking out all the time. It's like a cocaine high 24/7, just going. Just...
only this podcast can insinuate a new Star Wars game with a cocaine high Wookiee, and I have never been more proud of this show in my life than right now. Other than all these guys saying that their first Final Fantasy game was 15, that was even better. But
you never clipped that like you threatened to. Stop threatening. You keep threatening us with a good time, and like you're not delivering, man. You're not delivering.
Well, I will deliver.
Brings up a good point.
Eidos Montreal Star Wars Immersive Sim. Ooh, that's a good one.
Eidos is weird because Shadow of the Tomb Raider shipped in 2018, so it's been a couple of years for them. Clearly, I know they did support work on Avengers, but Avengers is another topic. So
yeah.
So I don't even want to touch that topic right now. So I say that to say, I know there were rumors and all that they were working on a Guardians of the Galaxy game. Maybe that was true at one point, but I'm starting to wonder if that doesn't pan out. So like a Deus Ex inspired Star Wars game from Eidos. Yeah, sign me up. That's good.
Yeah.
Or just make a Deus Ex game.
Let's not get crazy now. Square Enix doing the straightforward thing with their Western teams. Are you crazy? let's
straightforward things with their Japanese teams doesn't happen either.
Yeah, but by comparison, it absolutely does. Final Fantasy is pretty easy math. Final Fantasy current plus 1 equals new Final Fantasy. Like it's not difficult. It works pretty well. It's a good formula.
Dragon Quest.
Geez. Put that one too. No, Eidos. I'll take a new Eidos game, whether it be Deus Ex, Star Wars, something. Please, just give me a game from them.
That isn't Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have some community questions to go through, unless there's any other marvelous Star Wars pitches burning a hole in anyone's brains.
Nintendo. I want a kart racer, but with spaceships.
You know what? That's stupid enough to work. I'll allow it.
You need to go straight back and bring back the pod racing game in general.
No. We are still, as good as Star Wars is now, the prequels still aren't real. They never happened. Jar Jar Binks doesn't exist.
Yes,
Midi-chlorians do not course through my veins.
Sir?
Very real.
Sir?
Very real.
I'd like to ask you to calm down, please.
No.
Sir?
I will not get out of this Walmart.
A new pod racing game. I don't know who would do it. Like, actually, you know what? There we go. A pod racing game from Playground Games.
That's my pick too. That was my pick. Could be Playground Games. I think it'd be fantastic because I remember growing up in my brother used to work at this place called Palladium, this giant arcade place and whatnot, and he used to be a games master, or whatever. So you get paid to go play games on the floor with customers and whatnot. But they had this giant pod racing game where you actually sit in the pod racer itself with the controls, the Anakin Skywalker's controls.
I remember that.
Oh man, that was a blast! I love that. We kicked ass on that game. It was great.
Pod racing was dope. I don't even care. I can't even fake that. Like,
no, you can't. You can't.
You know what? Actually, no. I want to go the extra mile. I want to be super extra with this. I want Polyphony? Polyphony?
Polyphony
that does the Gran Turismo games. I want a pod racing sim game where you have to choose which converter piece goes in your engine.
Yeah.
You have to know how to.
Actually, yes, I take that. I would happily take that.
Me too.
But it has to have realistic gore when you decapitate yourself when your engine blows up. That's the only thing. I don't make the rules. And can we also? You also have to keep in the child slave labor that was in episode 1.
Jeez.
Wow.
Jeez, man.
Oh wait, no one wants to talk about that in 2020. How we were just like, "Hey, kid slaves in Star Wars, this is cool."
As we look back on our BioShock Infinite replays and go, that actually, wow, that was in the game.
Yeah.
That would not pass today.
Yeah. But we've got some awesome community questions. So let me open up my community questions.
Uh-oh. Titled Ship Hosting Folder.
No, I have a document for shit posting. It's literally just a bunch of made up tweets that I've come up with. I'm like, oh, today feels like this kind of day. Copy, paste, tweet, turn off browser, turn off notifications, walk away. So first question is kind of covered by our discussion topic. With the reignition of Star Wars coming back and we're seeing more meaningful spin-offs within the universe, is there anything that used to be canon pre-Disney that you would like to see come back? So what this is referring to, for people that are listening that don't know, when Disney bought Star Wars, one of the first things they did is they made anything that wasn't the main trilogies or the main movies essentially non-canon. There was books, there was comics, there was a whole host of things that Disney just went, yeah, this doesn't exist anymore. And it was super frustrating. So this question's around even TV, a game, wherever the case may be. So I already came up with mine so that you guys had a few seconds to think about what you wanted to see to come back. So I remember this book. Can't remember what it's called. I read it when I was a kid. And basically what it did is it followed the adventure of, Leia and Han's 2 kids. They were twins, I believe. And they were like
Jason, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Sam knows what I'm talking about. It was like the Hardy Boys, but in space. It was super weird. They had like confrontational encounters with Boba Fett, and like it was really good. I can't put my finger on why it was really good. When I was a kid, I really enjoyed the books, though. And I'd love to see that come back as like a TV show, because like Star Wars always seems aimed at like an older audience, but not really kids anymore. Like I felt with like the new trilogy, it wasn't really aimed at, say, a kid audience, so to speak. It was more aimed at higher up in the adult spectrum. But this could be like a cool, like, hey, you're 8 years old. Here's something Star Wars with kids like you, blah. All that corporate mumbo jumbo. I could see Disney doing that, honestly. How can we make money off of kids with Star Wars?
That's a good pitch. That's a good pitch, dude. Yeah. Nice.
Anyone,
friendly.
either one of you want to go next?
Jared, you.
So I don't really know a whole lot about the Star Wars universe, but there's always been one period that I've always been interested in, and that is the Grey Jedi Order. It was a long time ago, and that's a set of Jedis where they like to indulge in both the light and the dark side, but never fully going into the dark side. They always kind of stayed right in between. But you don't really hear anything about that, and I think that'd be very cool and interesting Jedi perspective, because basically they'd be a Jedi that can wield both sides of the light and the dark, and yet still go about doing whatever they want to do without basically feeling bad about doing anything. Like, this is just who I am. This is part of what I do, and they could be merciless, ruthless killers or mercenaries or whatnot, or they could be just some sages, or I don't know. I've always speculated on what that would be like to see, but yeah, that's something I'd like to see them do. Is the Grey Jedi Order.
Yeah, for sure. Touching on that in some way. Okay, mine is the absolute lowest hanging fruit possible. So, but it's going to happen. Like, it is going to happen eventually, and that's the Old Republic. Revisit the Old Republic.
Yeah.
They're doing the High Republic right now, which is, I think 400 or 500 years before the prequels, and it's about the Jedi at the height of their power. The light is just at its strongest. The Sith are stamped out. The last Sith are in hiding. Good reigns throughout the galaxy. It's the Jedi in their element, and that's cool. That's going to be a really cool era to do completely new Star Wars stuff. I'm happy with that. Eventually, though, I want to see the Old Republic. I want to see. I'm sure you're going to have to do it in a different way. I'm sure you're going to have to do different things. But they brought Thrawn back, and Thrawn is a little different, but very similar to how, he was in the, I think they call it Legends now, the non-canon stuff. It's called Legends. Thrawn is very similar, and I want them to do something similar. Bring back Darth Revan and the Jedi, Bastila Shan, and then, Lord Sion, the Sith who can't die, Darth Krayt, Darth Nihilus. Just give me those stories. Give me the Mandalorian wars that ravaged planets and destroyed worlds, and, just all that cool stuff. Just bring it back to me. I want that. So that's mine.
That's awesome. So that's the great thing about Star Wars is you can ask someone, I'm talking more than just the people that casually watch the films. If you grew up with Star Wars, if you ask someone who grew up in Star Wars what their favorite game or series or book or whatever it was, you're going to get completely different answers. I think that's kind of what's so cool about Star Wars is it's so branching of what reached out to you. No, I'm not. I was gonna say something, but it's totally a Mandalorian season 2 spoiler, and I do not do that. But yeah, cool things. It's really cool when a character you love, you see, and you're like, ah, and then don't anyone clip that. I'll kill you.
When Nick gets excited, this is the sound he makes. Ah!
I'm glad I'm sitting down because I can't stand y'all. So we'll move right along to our next question. This one's a general question for the cast as well. Hey guys, with Marvel getting in trouble, Marvel. Okay, this is factually wrong right off the bat. I'm pretty sure Marvel doesn't do Punisher. DC does Punisher, correct?
Punisher is very much Marvel, dude.
Oh, god damn. I thought Punisher was Marvel or DC. God damn. Okay. Anyways, before I just commit a sin, on a live podcast.
You made him take off his glasses and stretch, man. Like, come on.
No, don't worry. You look all right now. It's totally okay.
He took a mental break from you. He's just like, I need a moment. Hold on.
So, with Marvel facing criticisms over the symbolism that the Punisher has been drawn to, do you guys think there's any way that this could be redeemed in a meaningful way via either through the TV show or through a game, or is that IP forever going to be tainted?
Yeah, I'll jump on this real quick. I'm not a fan of giving people what they want in terms of like, okay, look, let's just come out and say it. In terms of white supremacist chuds trying to claim stuff, it comes back to Hawaiian shirts with the OK symbol. It's like, you can't do that. That's ridiculous. You can't just say, oh, this is ours now, and like it works that way. It doesn't work that way. I understand Punisher is a little different with how widespread it has become, a symbol. But I think actually one of the authors of the Punisher comics did a very good job. And I can't remember the exact issue off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I'd have to Google it. But, having the Punisher directly address a couple of cops who are very eager to kill some criminals. And he says, like, no, you should not idolize me. I'm not like you. And you are supposed to be better than me. I'm not a good person. And I think that was a very good rebuke of that whole attitude, so to speak. I understand concerns. I understand it's obnoxious. Fortunately, the great thing is Disney has lawyers who are really, really, really good at cracking down on illegal uses of their IP. So I think if it becomes a big enough issue, they'll step in a little bit there, like in terms of merchandise or whatever that these chuds try to do. But I understand the concern for sure. You just have to push back and not give it the mental space that they want, because that's how they win.
Yeah,
I think I agree, and I think it could come back too. Just maybe give it a little bit more. I don't know. I wouldn't say a serious tone, but give it a more film it kind of like how The Mandalorian is. Don't give it that more of a TV show aesthetic. Give it more of a filmed as a movie, but segmented into episodes, sort of thing. Give it a little bit more depth and not so kind of. I guess for me, the story on Marvel's the Netflix version, and even actually the movie too, the story was very plain. It wasn't too interesting. It's just this guy out in revenge that somehow miraculously came back from the dead and whatnot, and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, if they just tweaked it a little bit, and I think it'd still do good today.
Yeah, Sam makes an excellent point. I will say, to Sam's point, just grow a set and wear a swastika if you're going to be a piece of shit. And to Jared's point, I think that what the Punisher needs is, I think part of the problem the Punisher faces, I think the comics were done incredibly well. I think the TV show and the movie have a few gaps in terms of what the writing delivered in. And I think if they want to bring Punisher back in a meaningful way, is what Jared said is very true. There's a very distinct difference between how a movie is written and how a TV show is written. And the best part about like watching something like The Mandalorian is how the story is written. It feels like you're watching a season of a movie. It's how Game of Thrones felt until that last season. Everything stitched together really well. Everything had all these different layers to it and everything else. I think the Punisher just needs that level of writing in a series, and for them to tackle some of the tough issues that face that whole system that we have in place right now. But great question, and a little bit weighty for our usual community questions. And I want to encourage you guys too, if you feel like submitting something goofy, cool. If you want to submit something a little heavier, we will tackle those. With tact, of course. If there's one thing I'm good at is serious things I can handle with tact. If you send me something goofy, I'm a roll in it. And speaking of rolling in it, our next community question is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. If you guys had to be rolled down a hill, which would you prefer to be lubricated with? Butter, margarine, or olive oil?
Olive oil, because it won't dry up.
Okay,
I gotta keep that momentum going. So like butter and margarine or whatever, that shit's gonna like in cold weather, that's gonna start sticking up, and yeah, you'll be able to slide still, but you'll get clumpy and whatnot. oil yourself up like naked deaf guy or whatever on Family Guy and just go.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be. No, I'm not going to be going anywhere. Like, if you're going to roll me down the hill, just roll me down the hill. Get it over with. I'm going to get cuts and bruises and banged up, but like, at least I won't have all the grass and dirt. I presume this is like a green hill. Maybe if it's snow or whatever, but that would be even worse. I don't want all that stuff sticking to me and like, no, just get it, push me, get it over with.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Slide like an otter though, with oil.
I myself am more of an oil man. I already oil myself up at night anyway, so it'd just be going down a hill afterwards. So,
speaking of going downhill, is there any other question, or are we stuck here?
All right. Yeah. This next question. So all you guys are games writers. So that means you guys are probably broke all the time. Ha, ha, ha.
So,
what is your favorite go-to broke food?
That's a tough one.
Go-to broke food. For me, it's hot and sour soup. Those hot and sour soup packets you get, they're dirt cheap, and you can just boil some water, add them in, real good. Like hot and sour soup. Jared, you've never had hot and sour soup?
Never heard of them.
It's an Asian soup. It's real good. It's just it's spicy. You can throw in some egg, like whip some egg in, so you get like the cooked egg bits, but you got the pepper. Yeah, like Google it. It's real good. It's a real simple, cheap, easy to make soup. Ramen is like the stereotypical answer, and I've definitely consumed my fair share of ramen. But I wanted to give something a little less go-to, a little less stereotypy. I love the hot and sour soups.
Jared, what about you? Or are you still thinking?
I just probably spicy ramen. Honestly, that's instant noodles, super spicy. If I'm not sweating, it's not worth it. Basically,
I'm not sweating. It's not worth it. I apply that mantra to many aspects of my life.
But
for me, there's two. There is, and you have to buy these specific ones. If you go to your corner market store, and you have like the Pillsbury pizza pockets. No. You go to the no-name brand pizza pockets. They're like 50 cents a pocket. I literally, when I was 16 years old and I moved out on my own for the first time, I lived on those. My freezer was literally those and packets of ramen that were in the fridge. I don't know why I kept them in the fridge, but they were in the fridge. It was literally ramen pizza pockets. And I somehow managed to stay under 200 pounds on that diet. No idea how. No idea how that happened. Started eating good food, and I got fat. It happens. Another great broke food. Take a piece of bread, butter it, brown sugar, cinnamon. Boom. There's your sugar boost for the day. You can last a whole day on that slice of bread. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, no, it should go without saying. This is like in dire financial straits stuff. Do not ideally have a well-balanced diet, please.
Yeah, no, like everybody, whether they want to admit or not, has been there, opened the fridge and went, I don't get paid till Friday. There's no food in the fridge. It's Tuesday. So you start looking at stuff in your pantry and it's like, can I cook flour into something palpable? But we've all been there.
Biscuits.
Bread and cream of mushroom, egg and ramen is good too. Biscuits are always a good go-to. Now, we'll bounce to Glorious Wars question before we bounce to our final question. When are we going to get some gaming news? When is the next Nintendo Direct or State of Play? Plus, do we have an E3 this year, or do we have any digital events this year? So, obviously, next week, we're going to do our 2021 predictions. We're going to talk more about what we expect to see in terms of digital events and everything else. But I may be alone here. I really feel like it's weird that we haven't heard anything from Nintendo or PlayStation yet. But I will throw that into the hat of there's kind of a lot going on in a certain country right now. And I feel like a lot of game developers and publishers are kind of just like, we're going to wait to see how this plays out, because it kind of goes along the lines of, when we had, flare-ups in 2020, a lot of game developers said, hey, we respect what's going on. We don't want to talk right now. That's where I'm at right now anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's very valid. I would also, again, I'm going to keep pointing to it, but it's true, COVID. You combine that with the effects of the pandemic pushing stuff back, it's the perfect storm. Specifically for Sony and Nintendo and then E3 in order, I truly do think we're getting a state of play early in February. Give us a release date for Destruction All-Stars. I will not be surprised if that's been pushed to March at this point. But hey, if it's still late February, cool, that works. It's going to launch in PlayStation Plus either way. But we need a release date. The game is ostensibly coming out in 5 to 6 weeks. We got to know sometime soon. Come on, y'all. Some more details on Returnal, you can show a little more combat, and then Ratchet and Clank. I think Ratchet and Clank you have to show, because I'm increasingly getting this feeling, and it's fine if it is, that game has been delayed and is no longer a PlayStation 5 launch window game. I'm getting more of a May, June, July vibe, simply based on the fact that if this is a PS5 only game, you need to start talking about it soon. You need to actually show details. The gameplay they showed last year was cool, but you got to talk more than that. You got to have it up for pre-order and all that. So, Deathloop, that's in May, and that is up for pre-order already. So, you see what I'm saying? It's kind of weird looking at those in comparison. So, Sony, state of play early February. Nintendo, who the hell knows? Nintendo does their own thing. Anyone who tries to... I don't do the whole trying to predict Nintendo Directs thing, because you can't. Nintendo will march to the beat of their own drum, and they will do whatever they want until it hits their bottom line, like the Wii U. Unless something like that happens, they don't care, and they will do their own thing. Maybe we get one in February. Maybe it's March. I will say this. There's no way we go April without a Nintendo Direct. I'll say that. That would be stupid. There's absolutely no way. We have to get actual news from them in terms of what to look forward to. And then E3, we're not getting E3 because Sony has pulled out of E3. Microsoft has said they are not doing physical events until July. Just lacking those two. And Microsoft ate Bethesda, so they're not going to be there because Bethesda is now included with them. So, what does that leave? Maybe you got Nintendo, but they don't do a showcase. They do their stuff digitally. I don't think we have E3. And I'm not looking forward to this year's Summer Games mess, but realistically, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at Summer Games Mess Part 2. So yeah, long-winded, sorry, but that's kind of my thoughts on the whole situation as it stands right now.
Yep, nothing different on my end, so it's going to be interesting year.
I think the most depressing thing is that, I'm never going to get to experience the Bethesda after parties now because Bethesda's owned by Microsoft. God damn it. No turkey legs. No great alcohol.
I think they'll still do an after party when we get back to physical events.
No getting my, information leaked by the ESA. I feel so unincluded in everything. But yeah, we'll get back to it. It's rough right now. I know everyone's getting really tired. I've seen the sentiment a lot online of people going, well, we've had a pandemic for a year. You'd think they'd have it figured out by now. I work in distribution and construction right now. We've been at this pandemic and been working through this pandemic 365 days. We have not shut down for a single damn day. We're still a mess trying to figure stuff out, how to get stuff places, how to deal with, supplier shutdowns and everything else. You think about it, we want to print physical game discs. Oh, shit, the facility that does that has COVID. It's shut down for 4 weeks. What do we do? Oh, digital only release? No, not going to happen. Delay the game. all sorts of issues like that. People just think, people finish the game and then it goes poof. And it's all over the world and it's easy. And I would think people learn from these console launches that it's not easy to get shit from point A to point B in a pandemic. But still, here we are. And it's just the way things are right now. Things will get better. I won't be one of those people that's sitting there going, this is the rest of your life, because it's not. It's not.
But I also think it's worth considering that this pandemic has accelerated things that were already in motion and has changed some things forever moving forward. Things will get better, but studio culture, work from home culture, digital events, a lot of that is here to stay.
Absolutely.
Some will revert, but a lot won't. I just think that's worth keeping in mind.
I think one thing that's definitely going to go down in the future will be in-person previews. I definitely think remote previews will become more of a thing instead of paying to fly someone out, hotel them, I definitely think those kind of events are going to eventually slow down in terms of press. And like E3 digitally just makes sense, I guess. In a technical stance, I'm saying that as internally, I'm like, no, it's fucking awesome. You want it to be real. But if it turns into a digital event, I get it. Costs are costs. When you start looking at the cost of every little thing, security, venue, everything else, it's really, really expensive to do those types of events. So if they're gone, it's sad, but we'll still get games. It's not like if E3 goes away, video games go away. So
yeah.
And that's what matters. And our final community question to wrap up the show. Hey guys, just a question. Is it mandatory to have a beard to guest on this show? I've only seen 2 clean-shaven people on this show since its inception. Is the beard mandatory? Well, I'm just more. First of all, I'm impressed that you went through all our episodes to find out that I think Luke and Miles were the only people on our show that don't have beards. So, respect.
They wouldn't have seen, but Cade also does not have a beard, so that puts us at
true.
3.
Well, we don't know if Cade doesn't have a beard. That's the thing. But he's 12.
I do.
So
I am one of those rare. It's like spotting Bigfoot in the wild. I know. I have seen. I know what he looks like. He doesn't have a beard.
It's like spotting Bigfoot in the wild.
Spotting a wild Cade, Cade in the wild. I just imagine he's sitting there, like walking out of a door with a chicken nugget, tendy in his mouth, like.
Put a glass of chocolate milk on a rope, lower it down in front of him. Beards are not. I think I speak for the other guys well when I say beards are not required for this show. But if you bring a beard, it will be discussed pre-launch.
Yes.
Oh, probably.
The quality of the beard will be discussed. No, and that brings up an important point that I would like to drive home. That we are going to be looking for more guests going forward, and as everyone knows, I'm not one to yell diversity for diversity's sake, but I would love to have a wider range of people come on here. So, if you're a woman, you want to come on this show, hit me up. I literally would love nothing more than to give more people a voice. Even if my audience is teeny tiny, I would love nothing more than to give you a voice. You want to come on the show, talk video games? You're welcome on. I don't care who you are, what you identify as, whatever the case may be. If you want to talk about video games and talk with them about us, DM me. I literally, my 2021 resolution was opening my DMs again. My DMs are not locked. If you want to talk to me and I don't follow you, DM me. I will see it. Won't respond to it quickly, but I will see it and I will get back to you. I'm terrible at DMs. These guys know that. They'll be like, hey, you want to catch some games? 3 days later. Yeah, I'd love to catch some games. I'm terrible. I'm the worst. But I definitely want to get more people on here. I want more people talking about games because I think the great thing about everything terrible going on in the world is that we have something that we all enjoy that just takes us out of it, even if it's just for 2 hours. And that's the beauty of video games. And the more people that get to talk about it, the better. So, on that note, we are doing our predictions 2021 episode next week. And you have to put up with me endlessly talking about Hitman 3. So, prepare for that. And I'll be the only one, I think, and maybe a guest. We'll see. See how things play out. So, appreciate everyone that stopped in. Appreciate everyone coming by on Tuesday nights. We will see Eric back next week, hopefully. And hopefully these gentlemen will be joining us again next week as well. So we will do outros here. Jared, where can people find you?
Well, as always, people can find me on Twitter at PickedOffWriter, and you can find all my fun writing stuff over at Windows Central, Android Central, blah, 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 can't talk, and iMore.
Right on. And Sam?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's Tolbert. And like Jared, you can find all my stuff over on Windows Central and its sister sites. Hopefully, we've got a lot more to write about soon. News is thin right now. So, feed us.
What video game news and me don't have in common? Video game news is thin.
So,
we love you the way you are.
Make burner accounts, go on to Reddit rumors, and just start spewing random crap and just see what sticks.
Hey, Jared, don't ruin me and Ivan's games from 2015, okay?
I will say, if I can just say one more thing before we sign off here. This is kind of self-promo, but I don't care if you click it or not. I wrote something a few days back about having empathy right now and accepting the fact that we are going to see more delays this year than we did last year. And I know we talked about it, but I really do want to emphasize that. Like, y'all, we are going to see more delays this year and in greater aspect, in greater scope than we did last year. It's just going to happen. That is how it's going to be. And I think this is a very good time to accept it and just sort of have empathy. Work on your backlogs. There is other stuff. It doesn't mean stuff won't pick up. Doesn't mean games won't arrive. Like, there's plenty of games that I know for a fact they're going to get here, no problem. But just temper your expectations accordingly. And I think this year will go down a lot smoother.
Yeah, and plus, after Cyberpunk 2077, maybe delays aren't bad. Hey?
They weren't bad before.
No, but I will physically slap you with a Cyberpunk 2077 Steelbook if I see anyone on my timeline whining about delays. Because I'm happy. The only game I needed to come out this year came out this year. Hitman 3 came out. They can't delay it. It's installed on my console. It opens up in 2 hours. They can't delay it now. They can't stop me. But appreciate the kind words from Sam. I will link that article in our description, our MP3, so give that a listen, especially if you stuck around to the end of the show. And we will catch you guys next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye.